Kappell with you again on this Tuesday. It is a Tuesday. It has been confirmed. It's already been a long week, and we're just starting the work week. Um, just a day after a large number of tornadoes across portions of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. Unfortunately, some very damaging, some very destructive tornadoes last night. We're in replay mode, watching some severe weather across portions of the mid-Atlantic right now, but I'm more concerned about the weather across the plains, and there are active tornado warnings that we will share with you. And one particular storm really getting a lot of attention right now across eastern and northeastern Kansas. This is the one that we're going to be focused on during this update, unless, of course, we've got something else to turn our attention to. But unfortunately, I think we're going to be busy again. So I want to just take a moment to say thank you for being here. And I know you guys have really done a fantastic job of supporting this program since we launched it just a short time ago. In fact, we have only been on the air here for about a week and a half. So obviously we haven't been on long, but you guys have really supported, so thank you very much for that. All right, got a live mic check coming in from Jack Allen. How are we sounding this evening? Just getting started here again, covering developing severe weather across the plains at this hour. Want to go over to radar here in just a moment. The active tornado warning, that's for Douglas County and Kansas. So if you are in Douglas County, this is my old viewing area. For those that don't know, I worked out in KSNT, the NBC affiliate out in Topeka, Kansas. I was the chief there for about 3.5 years, and this area is near and dear to my heart. Just getting started. If you don't mind a quick share of the program, it's always appreciated. How is the sound now, Mike? And make that Jack. Jack, by the way, will be your moderator tonight. That is Jack Allen, everybody. Be sure to say hello to him again as we're getting started with this program tonight. I'm hoping it won't be a long night like it was last night, but these storms definitely bear watching outside right now. Here's a look at your Kappell cast, and we've got the warning information. That warning has not been extended to Lawrence yet, but this is the storm that we are concerned with that potential of a tornadic rotation embedded in rain. It is a rain-wrapped storm. The entire area underneath a watch. That is a tornado watch from Kansas City to Topeka. There's another tornado watch from Salina down to Wichita to Oklahoma City. It does look like they just issued a warning for the cell northwest of Oklahoma City. We'll come down there. We'll investigate. We've had a cluster of tornado-producing storms to the west of Concordia. We will continue to monitor that. I think the main threat to life and property, considering this is going to make its way into a larger metropolitan area fairly quickly, is the storm making its way into Douglas County. That's south and west of Topeka, Kansas. Putting this into motion for you, you can see the movement of the storm as it is approaching the Lawrence area outside right now. I want to take you over to some live data. This is level 3. I'm going to take you over to our level 2. This is our GR analyst, and we have that rotation that is becoming very evident. I would be quite surprised if this tornado is not on the ground. So there's a lot of attention focused on this storm. I'm going to take a look at some samples here. This is near the town of Lone Star, where we've got winds of about 60 miles per hour right now going towards the radar site, and about 50 or 55 miles per hour moving away from the radar site. So it's about 115 mile per hour, just about gate to gate shear. Looking at normalized rotation, there's a high probability this tornado is on the ground. It is shrouded by rain. So again, a very dangerous mesocyclone. That just means spinning thunderstorm, essentially. And these are the types of storms that used to keep me up way late at night in the plains when I used to forecast for both Topeka and Kansas, and also earlier in my career for Abilene, Texas. You'd watch these storms develop, and you just would rather avoid them. But this time of the year, they happened. Today was a pretty well advertised storm. There's a moderate risk of severe weather across all of northeastern Kansas and into northern half of Missouri. So I am concerned for towns to the south. Well, Lawrence, I think, is going to be hopefully just to the south of the circulation by the time it reaches it. But Lawrence, for those that don't know, that's the home of the Kansas Jayhawks. It's a big college town, fun town by the way, and last thing you want to see is to see that tornado move up in there. I'm hoping it stays south. That's the idea. Tornado still strengthening. There's the next scan there showing some very tight rotation, somewhere in the order of about 110 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. That is a developing tornado. I believe it's already on the ground. We've got plenty of data to prove that. Let me show you what I'm looking at. The actual en-route, again, that's normalized rotation, now showing red up to an 8.4. Going on over to CC, I want to see if we've got, I'm going to go back and forth. CC is a correlation coefficient showing the if there's any debris lofted up in the air, and it looks like we don't have that TDS quite yet. We're showing very minor return, so it's possible might be seeing the beginning of a little debris, but so this is not a guarantee. That's the reason the Weather Service hasn't confirmed it yet, but I just think it's a matter of time. We're not all that far away from the radar site. We're about 4,000 feet right here sampling the storm. Yep, still looking at about 110 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear, so that's pretty important to note. So all right, let's take a couple notes on here. I know this is not the only storm, and I will try to monitor the situation. I've got my other radar unit up over here monitoring the situation across the mid-Atlantic, where they're going over to just almost all severe thunderstorm warnings. They're holding on to the one tornado warning close to Scranton. That's for my friends in Pennsylvania. I just want you to know that we're monitoring. But I do want to keep our eye on the prize, which I think, you know, the most dangerous storm, the one that has the largest risk to life and property, is this storm here across central Kansas. So who do we have on here? We've got 76 people on right now. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're trying to get the word out for our friends in Douglas County right now. That's where the warning is active. Areas near and south of Lawrence, Kansas. And then right along or south of the Interstate 70, eventually it may cross north of Interstate 70. That's when it's going to make its way into the Kansas City metropolitan area. That's when this could be bad. This could be real bad. So we've got some time. It's still daylight, so hopefully we're able to get lots of exposure, lots of eyeballs on this program. If you've got friends that live in the Kansas City area, maybe Lawrence, Kansas, give them a call, send them a text, say, hey, heads up, and maybe send them this link, share this, so they at least know in real time when and where the storm is occurring. All right, new information coming in from the National Weather Service. Every time you hear that chime, that's the National Weather Service reporting something from the storm. Topeka received a tornado report from the storm to the west, and I know there are a number of storms across north central Kansas, and we'll investigate those as well. Of immediate concern to me, though, as mentioned, is that storm that is just south of Lawrence, southwest of Lawrence. Topeka did issue tornado warrant. Okay, they've observed, so this is observed now. It's on the ground. It's doing damage. I told you it was just a moment. It's just a matter of time. So they issue. It is observed, and it's also rain wrapped. This is a dangerous storm. I'm glad we came on when we did. Lawrence, you're now in the tornado warning. Look at that. These things. I mean, it's spinning, and it's spinning fast. So this could be a very life-threatening emergency if it does make it to Lawrence. Pleasant Grove, you've got to be in your safe place now. Look at that signature, though. That's strong. I've got 70 mile per hour winds going towards the radar site, and then just adjacent to that, I've got winds that are going 64 miles per hour the other way. You do the math. That's 134 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear, and that's important. Gate-to-gate means basically that this thing is spinning. It's a very hard, fast spin, and there's almost no doubt this thing's on the ground. In fact, I'm going to take you back over to CC. So I'm going to put the velocity over here on the right, and then I'm going to take this map, I'm going to plant my marker, and we're going to take a look at your correlation coefficient, and there it is. There it is. It's as clear as day. The blue box kind of on the right side of your screen, that blue area, that's debris that's up in the air. This is trees, if there are homes, or if there's properties. These are parts, pieces of properties, and it could be roofs, it could be any number of things. But again, this is a growing tornado. It's going to get larger. I have a feeling that this one is going to be a problem for the Kansas City metropolitan area. So let's go ahead and do our best to get the word out that, again, our friends in Kansas City, maybe near Lawrence, along that Interstate 70 corridor. This is a pretty populated area. Obviously, Kansas City is a large city. We hope that it spins down, but I'm not terribly optimistic that this is going to weaken very fast. It may not weaken for a while. So that's part of the reason why I'm on here when I'm on here. For those that have been following me here the last week and a half or so since we launched this program, know that we are focused only on high-end severe weather events, ones that pose significant risk to life and property. And so our hope is that with this program, we'll be able to get advance warning out, we'll be able to make a difference, we'll be able to save lives. With your all's help, I know we can do that. All right, Topeka coming in. National Weather Service out at Topeka. Again, this is my former market. I know this area very well. Continues tornado warning. Observed tornado. The damage threat is considerable. Confirmed large, extremely dangerous tornado was located 2 miles northwest of Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove, that's in Douglas County, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. If you guys have not shared this video, please do so. Help me get the word out that we're on here. I'm trying to be very proactive with this particular storm. Knowing that people are coming home from work, they're rushing around, maybe they're enjoying dinner. I want to get their attention, and you guys can help do that with a share of this video right now. Crystal Bull on here, radar scope showing nearly 150 mile per hour gate to gate, and I think we are getting very close to that threshold. This is a large storm, and it's not gonna go away. Again, this is going to be a problem for a while. Last night we had some very persistent rotations. We saw the damage that it did up north of Dayton, northwest of Xenia, Ohio. And unfortunately, I see a lot of the same earmarks tonight. I think these tornadoes this evening, could be more powerful. They could be more destructive. That's not what we want to see, but I think that's what is on our plates right now. So you can see that storm as it's making its way towards the Lawrence area. They've went ahead and they've issued, well in advance of the storm, a severe thunderstorm warning, saying, hey, heads up, at the very least, you're going to have some very severe conditions, damaging winds and hail. What they would do is they're going to watch this rotation very carefully, and depending on what it does, they will go ahead and issue that tornado warning or not. My gut says they're going to have to upgrade. I just don't think this storm is going to weaken. I'm looking at a lot of information, data provided by the Storm Prediction Center. It gives me real-time analysis of what the atmosphere is doing. I just think we're primed. I don't think it's going to weaken. So that's why I'm on here urging you. They just extended the tornado warning. This does include Lawrence. Oh, I mentioned that. Lawrence is included for all of northeastern sections of Douglas County. And that rotation is really ratcheting up. So we're going to have to act fast here. Again, it's moving into a populated area, so we need to stay on top of this. All right, so got 4 1/4 inch rain coming in from the storm. That's Osage City. It's going to provide a flood threat. That to me is the least of our concerns right now. And this thing is spinning, and it's spinning like a top. Take a look at that. My. That is a nasty signature. Somebody just said that they thought that it was around 150 gate-to-gate shear, and I can confirm that. I can confirm that with the numbers that I'm seeing right here. You're at around 140 to 150 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. This has got massive in-rot target on this. This is about as high a threshold as you're going to see. There is no doubt this is this is a violent tornado. I go over to CC, debris ball still very evident. Guys, you've got to get underground on this storm. This is one, it's not good enough to just take shelter. Not good enough. You have to be underground. This is going to pass again just south of Lawrence, Kansas. And fortunately, there's a lot of farmland, but once you get into Lawrence, there's a lot of people. And I do hope very much so that they are aware of this developing threat. That is a disturbing image, and I want to take the time here, and there they go. They went ahead and they put the confirmed. It is confirmed, observed, and now they're tagging it with catastrophic. A catastrophic tornado is the way the Weather Service is terming this. And let me get this information out to our friends over on Facebook. If you've not shared this video, please do so. The information that you're helping to provide could save someone's life. So give me a moment while I'll send this over to my Facebook friends. I've been waiting until it got closer to these highly populated areas. It's moving closer and closer south Lawrence. I can't urge you enough to heed action. We've got 96 people live on this video. Please help to get the word out that we're on here. That's a tornado emergency. That does include now for Lawrence, Kansas. They do not issue these very often, but that's the wording. A tornado emergency for Lawrence, Eudora, Pleasant Grove. Guys, you've got to act, and act now. Please help us get the word out that we've got a very, very bad situation developing on our hands right now. It is about 7:20 p.m. Eastern time, so 6:20 p.m. Central. They are still near peak heating. There's a lot of ingredients that suggest to me that this thing is nowhere near any sort of weakening at all. If anything, this storm is only going to get stronger, and that's the reason for my concern. That we need to do whatever we have to do to make sure that we're getting the word out that this is occurring, this is approaching some of these areas. Very bad situation. Give me just a moment while I update this Facebook post. Okay, so they enhanced the wording to tornado emergency south of Lawrence, Kansas. Again, what I'm doing is I'm pulling up information on my Facebook page right now. I want to let people know what the threat level is. Tornado emergency is about as strong a wording as you will see from the National Weather Service. Okay, yeah, and that's a good suggestion, Jack. Jack Allen, my moderator, helping me to get the word out that we're on here tonight. Tornado emergency declared, second night in a row this time for Lawrence, Kansas. Areas just south of Lawrence is included in that tornado emergency. All right, so that is over there on my Facebook page. Jack, thank you for that suggestion. Let me change my title. Let's see if I know how to do that in real time. Okay, let's see here. Jack, help me. Where's it at? Trying to kind of edit in real time here. It's not always as easy as we think it should be. All right, I think I found the edit function. If you guys can continue to share this video. I'm taking a pause at this point in time, like I did last night, to stop and share. This is sharing. It's more important than the live information that I'm giving you because there's time before it enters these highly populated metropolitan areas. All right, so that should be changed. I'm going to let that fly, Jack. Hopefully that helps us here. We've got 88 people live. We're watching this developing tornado. It's not a developing tornado. This thing's on the ground. It's tearing things up. It's a large, they're calling it catastrophic, coming in from the National Weather Service, a large catastrophic tornado in progress. There's some open farmland right here, but there's a lot of farms that are being chewed up. It's about to hit the Interstate 70 corridor, and that's where we're going to have a real problem. This thing is fortunately passing just to the south of Lawrence, but our friends out towards Eudora, again, I think you're going to be very close, maybe even a direct hit. Eudora, Kansas, guys, you've got to be underground. It's not good enough with this particular storm to just take shelter in the center of your home. You can't treat that like you have other storms. This one you have to be below ground. I'm still showing winds about 150, right around 145 to 150 mile per hour gate. No. 86, 60, 80. It's about 155 mile per hour gate to gate shear. So this storm is not losing any strength at all. Taking a look at our other radar source here, you can see very clearly where they've declared the tornado emergency. This is the highest classification, just south of Lawrence. You make your way towards Eudora. That's where we have some real problems on our hands. So let's reach out to what we need to do. They did extend that warning further east. Let me get the county names for it. Again, observed large destructive tornado. It's getting closer to that Interstate 70 corridor, just south of 70 right now. Tornado warning remains in effect for southwestern Leavenworth, northwestern Johnson counties. This is for the storm that's in Douglas County right now. They're warning in between, it's for Lawrence, it's for Eudora. And I'm looking at the new velocity, and it's not good. It's not good at all. All right, so here it is. And you can see that very, very bright spot. This is likely embedded, but that is a TDS. That is a tornadic debris signature. That's a debris ball likely embedded with the rain. I'm looking at some of these numbers here, and 70. I mean, we're looking at 140 to 150 mile per hour gate to gate shear. It is sustained. I'm going to look for a debris ball. Where that in the middle of that circulation, that's where basically we can have verification that it's tearing things up, it's throwing things in the air. That's exactly what we're seeing. So debris has been lofted into the air. We may be looking at trees, we may be looking at roofs, parts of houses, vehicles, whatever this thing can get its hands on. But it's going to throw it up in the air, and again, it's going to cause a real mess. Anybody that's not below ground, you're potentially at risk with this storm. You can see its proximity now to Kansas City. We would love for this storm to just kind of fizzle out and go away, but I hate to say it. I don't think it's going to before it reaches at least portions of the Kansas City metropolitan area. That's why we need your help to get the word out. There's a lot of people here in this town. That's a big town. That's a big Midwestern city. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands off the top of my head. But I would say that this town, there might be 1 million people right there in that proximity to this storm. It might be 1 million people. We're awake. Fortunately, it's earlier than the storms last night. that roared through portions of southwest Ohio, and we know what a bad deal that turned out to be for areas just north of downtown Dayton. And they're still assessing the damage associated with that. That was at least an EF3. This is going to be stronger. This will be stronger than anything that we saw last night, more than likely based on the returns that I'm seeing, and also knowing the setup that we've got. The setup is that we've got a tremendous amount of instability. We've got lots of wind shear above us. We've got all the ingredients we need. All we need now is for that supercell to appear. It has appeared. This is a dominant storm. It's going to take in all of the available energy around it. Let's go back over to the other radar source, and I can show you that it is a discrete cell. There's really no other player in town. This is the storm that I eyeballed an hour or two ago as it was developing. I was talking to our moderator, Jack Allen. He's on here. Everybody acknowledge Jack and his help and contributions for the show. You see what I mean? There's nothing else around it. Let me turn off the watches because I think they're just causing confusion. So I'll turn off the watches here. That way we're just looking at the storm and the warnings. Again, that tornado emergency in place right now to the west of Kansas City. By discrete cell, I mean this thing's all alone. There's nothing else around it. Now, so often is the case, as was the case today in Pennsylvania, part of the reason why I didn't do a whole lot of coverage on Pennsylvania, is you had showers and little thunderstorms that blew up everywhere. Well, they steal energy from each other, and none of them become dominant. This is a dominant storm, and this has got no competition, which means that there's no reason that it can't continue to grow and cause problems, which we have no doubt that it's going to do that. So let me take my telestration off. Again, you're looking around, the storm is all by itself, which is a problem in itself. And I am working on my telestration skills. It will come with time. All right, so there's a look at the big picture, putting this back into motion. If you're just joining us in progress, my name is Jeremy Kappell. I'm a broadcast veteran of 20 years, and I created this program here about a week and a half ago. The whole purpose is to let people know when we've got high-end severe weather events that are ongoing or in progress, and to help get out advanced warning. That's exactly what we're trying to do with this. Get out advanced warning so people know what to expect. Again, not just getting it from people that are on, you don't know what you're always getting when you're on your YouTube, whatever social media platform that is your go-to. Oftentimes the information that you're seeing is not from a trained meteorologist, and oftentimes that means it's not good information. All right, this is good information though that we're looking on our analyst radar, and I say good, it's not good. The town of Eudora, that tornado is on the ground just to your west. Again, a large tornado. It's been observed. Tornado warning coming in from the Topeka National Weather Service. Tornado capable of catastrophic damage. Confirmed a large destructive tornado was 3 miles west of Eudora, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. I'm looking at the velocity, which is over here on the right, reflectivity on the left. The gate to gate on this thing is up to an astonishing 167. We've got 170 mile per hour gate to gate shear. If this is not a violent EF4, I would be shocked. EF4 or greater tornado on the ground. We've got confirmation right there with a TDS. It's a tornadic debris signature. Now it's making its way into a metropolitan area. It'll surely be moving into the suburbs of Kansas City. It's going to be just along or just south of the Interstate 70 corridor. Of course, along that corridor, Interstate 70, you've got towns, you've got people that live there. And so this isn't, when you think of Kansas, oh, it's a Kansas tornado. It's out over the open plains. No, it's not. This is moving into a higher and higher population density here. That's why we could have a real disaster on our hands if people don't act. This is a type of tornado that you have to be underground. I've talked about this in previous shows. Occasionally you come across a situation where you actually need to leave your home. Most of the time I tell you to shelter in place. I'm not going to say that with this storm. This is not a shelter in place type of a storm. Let's go from your worst to your best options when it comes to how you can take care of yourself and how you can protect yourself and your family. The worst place you can be is a vehicle or a mobile home. Now I will say, if you're in the vehicle, enough time ahead of that storm to get away from it. It's got to be a safe time frame. You've got to be leaving 10 minutes before the storm arrives. I'd say go. Okay, just get away from it. drive south, drive southeast, away from the storm. That's an option. Again, last place you want to be is in the mobile home or a vehicle when the tornado strikes. Another bad option is a large open room. Let's say you've got a living room or something like that. Obviously, you don't want to be upstairs. That's bad. Manufacturing housing, bad idea. A good option, interior room of a well-constructed home. So that's kind of that's entry level with this storm. If you have no other options, you've got to get into a well-built home, even if it doesn't have a basement. If it's a well-built home, you need to get into the interior of the home, interior hallway, closet, hallway, bath. With this particular storm, if you have an opportunity to get to a basement, do it, or get away from it. That is your absolute best option, is that you want to be below the ground or you're in a certified tornado shelter. So that's the seriousness of this storm, and I want us to continue to ponder that as we watch it as it progresses into a major metropolitan area. Guys, this could be a tornado disaster. Right now, tornado emergency has been declared. We had a tornado emergency last night. These things are rare, but it's occurring again because we're seeing conditions coming together again. The tornado that hit north of Dayton last night, that was strong. I would say that's an F3 likely. I know it's already been assessed at least at an F3. This storm is likely stronger. I'm going to call this at least an F4 in my humble opinion. 20 years of, again, forecasting experience in Kansas, in Texas, Mississippi, the Ohio River Valley. I've been watching this stuff for a long time. This has got all the earmarks of a devastating tornado that can flatten a building all the way to the ground. That's why we suggest, if you have time, if you live in Linwood, you don't have time. If you're in Linwood, you just have to go in the middle portion of your home or wherever you're at. You don't have time. If you're in DeSoto, you've got a little time. But I really want to urge these people up here. Bonner Springs, there's a lot of people that live in Bonner Springs. You have an opportunity, if you're not in a well-built home, a sturdy building, leave. Go south, go southeast, but also I want you to be aware of sprawl. It is 6:30, so you're coming to the end of the evening commute. There's a lot of people on the road, so don't leave unless you have to. Maybe you've got a neighbor with a basement. That's a better option. You've got time. Okay, so we want to explore all of these options, if possible. All right, new tornado emergency includes Kansas City. So here you have it, folks. Kansas City, currently underneath the tornado emergency. They have extended this all the way into Kansas City, thanks to my friend Jack for sending that out. I'm looking at the data as fast as I possibly can. Large tornado on the ground, tornado warning observed. Looking out for the possibility of catastrophic damage. Again, Kansas City, Missouri. I was afraid that this may happen, and unfortunately my worst fears seem to be coming true with this storm. This is a dominant supercell thunderstorm, and there's really nothing to stop it from devastating portions of the Kansas City metropolitan area. If you've got friends out there, if you've got family out there, I urge you to reach out to them. Get their attention in any way possible. Share this video. Call them on the phone. You want to text them, blow up whatever social medias you've got. Kansas City is a very, very large populated area, and there are too many lives here at stake for us to not act and act together. So each and every one of us have to do our part. I'm hoping that I'm doing my part right here by helping to get the word out that we are on here. There's a look at it. I'm going to take you over to our other radar unit. This is as scary a situation as you will see. Large, violent tornado approaching a major metropolitan area. We know how bad it turned out for Dayton last night, but they got lucky. They got lucky that the storm wasn't a little bit stronger. This storm, to me, has all the earmarkers of a violent F4 plus tornado. There's a look at the warned area, that pulsating purple and pink area. That's the tornado emergency. It takes it right on in to all of western sections of Kansas City. I believe that is just south of the KCI airport. And if you live anywhere in this region, you need to get below ground, or to a neighbor's house that is below ground. Get into a sturdy municipal building. Get out of this thing's way. It's not going to slow down. I'm telling you. based on everything I know about the environment, again, I forecasted out here for many years, this storm has the potential of being absolutely devastating and absolutely could level chunks of the city. Kansas City, Missouri. We've got a huge population center, and you know, the ingredients are there. The ingredients are absolutely there. Bathtub mattress under sturdy desk, if nothing else, says Marie. Thank you for that. I live in Wellsville, and I'm so lucky that it missed us. This one did. Again, this one is taking aim right there on that Interstate 70 corridor. They've got to close down the Interstate 70 if they haven't already. I hope they have. Interstate 70, for those that don't know, that's a toll road. There are very few exits. They've got to close it down. I'm hoping that they've coordinated with the Department of Transportation to do that, because there's simply no way on and off that road. There's no way on and off. I mean, you can go several miles in between exits. And that's a perfect recipe for disaster, especially if somebody's commuting from Kansas towards Lawrence or Lawrence towards Kansas City, especially in that westbound lane. That would be absolutely awful. I sure hope that it doesn't come down to anything like that. All right, my name is Jeremy Kappell. Recently launched this YouTube channel to help increase awareness, to increase preparedness when it comes to high-end tornado events and severe weather outbreaks. That's what I'm trained for. I've got 20 years broadcast meteorology experience, and I'm here to now work for you. I've worked for stations in Texas, in Kansas, in the Ohio Valley for a large number of years, more recently in the Great Lakes. This is my specialty, severe weather and severe weather forecasting. So I want to urge you guys, again, do what you need to do to reach out, contact anybody that you know in the Kansas City metropolitan area, make sure that they're aware, and help to get the word out. If you haven't shared the video, please do so. What do we have? What EF is the tornado? And you cannot measure a tornado based on radar. Ultimately, the radar will be, or the determination will come from the assessment by the National Weather Service. They'll go out tomorrow. But from my experience as a meteorologist, as a broadcast meteorologist for 20 years studying this stuff, that when you have 170 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear, you've got a TDS that shows up in your dual pole data, that I would say that there's a good chance that we're looking at an EF4 tornado here. Again, my opinion. You don't take that to the bank. Hopefully it's weaker. I don't think it is. We have to treat this as a violent tornado, as one that can level whole city blocks. Linwood, that storm is on top of you right now. So Linwood, I'm looking at 100 mile per hour winds moving towards the radar site. I'm also looking at 80 mile per hour winds moving away from the radar site. We've got 180 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. This thing is likely shrouded with not just debris, it may be rain wrapped at times, it may be difficult to see, and it's so broad, if you're too close to it, you may not see it. It's so broad, it's going to go from one side of your sky to the other one. It's that large. Looking at, again, Linwood is taking a direct hit with this storm. I'm going to put the marker on here looking for CC. There it is. It's a no doubt debris ball, and TDS. TDS stands for Tornadic Debris Signature. So that's occurring in real time. This storm getting so close to the outskirts of Kansas City. They went ahead, they extended that a tornado emergency for the Kansas City area. Same reason I was concerned with Kansas City a couple of hours ago. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing is all that kind of coming to fruition. Why is this storm so dangerous? You may be asking yourself, why are we seeing all these tornadoes? We can save that general discussion for later, but what I can say about this particular storm is that this storm sets itself apart. A, it's in the middle of an environment that we know is conducive for tornadoes. B, this storm is all by itself. Why is that important? This storm is all by itself. That is important because when it comes to the energy available in the atmosphere, if you have a bunch of storms, they all kind of steal the energy. But if you have one storm that becomes dominant, it can take in all the energy for itself. And that type of a supercell, when you're still encountering near peak heating, 6:43 Central Time, that's bad news. That's a recipe for disaster. There are no other storms near it right now. The storms in western Kansas are not affecting this at all. This storm, again, is in an area that's got high levels of CAPE convective available potential energy. And as such, it's able to utilize all of that energy for itself. It's not sharing with any other storm. I wanted to come on and take a look at the meso analysis and see if we can bring up some CAPE numbers here for you. CAPE, again, it's convective available potential energy. We're looking at CAPE levels, and let me probe this for you. Working its way into the Kansas City area of about 3,000. 3,000 units of CAPE is way more than enough to sustain this storm. It doesn't need that much. It's got so much to work with. So we've got that, and we've also got other indicators we like to look at, including what the winds are doing, the propensity for this thing to spin. This is this is the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere, and you're spinning at 262 meters per second. There's a lot of wind energy. So the reason I'm looking at this is I'm trying to diagnose in real time the threat with this storm. And again, it's got everything it needs. Guys, I'm not here to hype. I'm not here to sensationalize. I'm here to help people understand that there could be an absolute disaster if people don't act into Kansas City metropolitan area. It could be an absolute disaster. I would hate to think that it would be one that would rival what happened in Oklahoma City in 2013. Remember that storm? Yeah, I remember that very well. And also the one that happened on May 3rd, 1999 in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's taken 2 direct hits with F5s over the last 20 years. Kansas City's been fairly fortunate, but it's also a town that's very vulnerable thanks to its location. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that everybody's becoming aware of the situation that's developing out there. And so I appreciate you guys helping to get the word out. If you haven't shared the video, please do so. This is a tornado emergency. This is the highest reservation of wording by the National Weather Service. And this is on a storm that I don't see weakening anytime soon. Linwood. I just hope everybody did what they were supposed to do, because with that signature going right over, I mean, that's right on top of that town. I got to know how many people live in Linwood. That could be an absolute disaster. All right, I'm looking this up. Linwood. All right, city population 375. Fortunately, not that many. Look at the gates here. I mean, this is a tremendous storm. What we're looking at, that is right at about 150 to 160 mile per hour gate to gate shear. This is no doubt large, destructive, causing all types of problems. Terrell Daniel, stay in shelter and basement, stay safe. We don't need casualties. Act now, don't film. Absolutely. And Daryl, again, this storm rain wrapped, and it's also moving at a pretty good speed. Let me give you the latest information coming in from the National Weather Service. Nasty, destructive and potentially catastrophic tornado approaching the Kansas City metropolitan area. Media, okay, we're working with both the National Weather Service out of Kansas City, also the one in Topeka, Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. Got overturned semi-tractor trailers along south of Lawrence. Honestly, the weather service out of Topeka has been fairly quiet. All they're doing is that they're just saying, okay, here we go, this is new. Broadcast reports tornado, social media photos of several homes damaged near Highway 59, Pleasant Grove, and Lawrence. The storm has only gotten stronger since then. You can see where it's at in proximity to Kansas City. It's getting very, very close. I'm going to try to bring up some live pictures at some point during this show. It may take me a few minutes, but again, my emphasis is on warning. We can look at pictures later. Right now, we just want to get the warning out there. We know it's real. We know it's on the ground. We know this is tearing stuff up. So our focus right now is to make sure that people are alerted, they're aware that the danger is real, what their options are, and what their options should be. So I'm going to come back over to that idea coming up here in a few minutes. Just watching that storm, it's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. It's stronger than anything we saw last night. And what we saw last night was a was a bad deal, raw deal. Bonner Springs, you may take a direct hit. Bonner Springs, I mean, let's talk about how many people live in Bonner Springs. Bonner Springs, population of 7,600 people. That storm is moving right at you. This is east of Topeka. This is Lisa, by the way, my wife. She just walked into the door. She wanted her update. Topeka was spared. Fortunately, Kansas City likely won't get spared with this storm. It's moving right on into the western suburbs. Bonner Springs, an area that I'm very familiar with. Looks like they're about to get clobbered with this. 7,600 people live in Bonner Springs, Kansas. I'm going to take you over to the other radar source. You can watch it go in. I know there are live pictures that are coming in. I want people to be safe. I will show you live pictures when the time is appropriate. But right now, the most important thing you can do is help me get the word out that a large destructive tornado is in progress. It's on the ground. A tornado emergency has been declared 2 days in a row. They don't issue these very often. Okay, you may go a whole year or two without a tornado emergency. And now this is back-to-back days where we've had weather so bad. And we knew today, I was talking about this last night when I was covering the storm over Dayton and portions of southern Ohio, that look, we're exhausted. You know, we have just been beaten down by this severe weather season, but tomorrow is a day that we have to stay on our toes. And so that's what we're doing. We're staying on our toes right now. There's that storm as it makes its way into the Kansas City area. I am currently looking at, I've got images of the actual storm that are beginning to populate. I can show you that in a moment. Again, we will show you live images on this show. Just give me a moment to get that up for you. Let's see, I've got Jack Allen on here moderating. Do we have any other anybody helping to moderate? And let's come back over. We've got about 300 people in this live room, so somebody's doing a great job of getting the word out. Thank you very much. Continue with the sharing. Again, we're looking at an absolute disaster in the making here. I hate to compare this with Oklahoma City and the F5 that struck there in 2013. This, hopefully it's not an F5, but even if it's an F4 or a high in F3, we've got big time problems on our hands. This is going into a major metropolitan area. And I don't see any reason why this does not continue to create all sorts of problems. Let's talk about where it's at. I'm going to go back over to Analyst Radar right now before I bring you some updated pictures. That tornado still appears to be very, very healthy. It's approaching Bonner Springs. I'm looking at the gate-to-gate shear. Guys, we are still up there. We are looking at tremendous shear, 170 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear right now. This is a no-doubter. This is a life-threatening emergency. Tornado emergency has been declared. So let's come back over to the other radar. I want you guys to see what I just looked at, and that's this. This is our Analyst Radar. In the middle of that storm, it's likely rain-wrapped at this point, where we've got that no doubt, that very, very high intensity, where you got winds that are ripping 100 miles per hour this way, 70 or 80 mile per hour this way. I mean, we are literally talking about almost gate-to-gate shear of 170 to 180 miles per hour. So Bonner Springs, again, you're next in line. I'm going to take you guys over to where I'm getting live information coming in. And I'm going to take a look at some of this, my sources, which are covering this storm very closely. I just want to make sure that we stay on this, and there it is. Okay, I'm seeing pictures coming in now. I'm going to share them with you in just a moment. Whew. Okay, so we got houses, we got destruction south of Lawrence, and we knew it was there. So let's take a look at some pictures. Again, Bonner Springs, get below ground. Bonner Springs, get below ground. There's a look. Homes destroyed. This is south of Lawrence. This is just when that storm really began to get organized. It has only strengthened since then. This is from WIBW, Sean Wheat. That's out of Channel 13 in Topeka, Kansas. We appreciate you guys sharing that. Here you go. They're calling this Northside rain-wrapped wedge tornado near Lawrence. This is what it looked like. Rain-wrapped wedge. It's hard to see, but it's massive. It's absolutely massive. This is Michael Sharnick. Again, the storm approaching Bonner Springs. Get underground. Get underground if you're in Bonner Springs. Watching the rest of these images coming in as well. Is this the actual, okay, that's Paradise, Kansas. Oh wow, this is the one that's moving into Kansas City. Again, it's rain wrapped, it's hard to see, but it's massive. It is a very large, very dangerous tornado on the ground, obviously doing all sorts of damage. And we'll come back to more of these images here in just a couple of moments. I don't want to get away from the radar too long because that's the primary how we're getting the information out. Again, tornado emergency arriving into Metro Kansas City. We could be witnessing an absolute disaster here. That area of pink and purple that's kind of pulsating on and off. Again, tornado warning. Bonner Springs, the storm is on top of you right now. There's a look at it. And it's a beast of a storm. It's completely rain wrapped. You'll have little chance of seeing this. I mean, what you'll see is a wall. And within that wall is torrential rain and hail and then debris. And then you're going to run right on into the debris. I've got 98 mile-per-hour winds right now moving towards the radar site. 98. And on the opposite side of that, you've got winds that are somewhere around 30 to 40 mile per hour moving away. So we're looking at 130 to 140 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. With this storm, looking for that TDS, that tornadic debris signature. And unfortunately, it's still there as it's approaching Bonner Springs. That TDS basically says there's no doubt this is on the ground. This is doing damage because what the radar is seeing is it's not seeing rain, it's not seeing hail. It's seeing objects that are larger than both rain and hail. It is seeing debris. And that's, again, one of those telltale signs that we know exactly what's happening based on what the radar is showing us. This is dual pole technology at its best. And that was one of the advents over the last 10 years that allowed us to basically take what the Doppler radar was giving us with wind signatures and then look even further into the storm to determine, again, the likelihood of tornadoes occurring. And with a signature like this, you get a tornado on the ground 100% of the time. And now new velocity in here, and that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm looking at these velocity scans. That's 116 mile per hour away from the radar. And you couple that with 60 mile per hour towards the radar. So 116 plus 60. You've got 170 to 180 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. And it looks like the storm is beginning to make a right move. I say right, it's wobbling right. It was moving due northeast and now it's shifting east. That's going to place it very close to Bonner Springs. And if it continues, it may come right on into Bonner Springs. That circulation is interacting with the Interstate 70 corridor as well. Tornado emergency does continue. There are new tornado warnings further west into Kansas. I just mentioned Republic, Washington counties. That goes till 7:30. We're getting damage coming in. Structure at 166 in Stillwell, southwest of Bonner Springs. So the damage reports are coming in. This is now getting into the Kansas City suburbs, Kansas City metro area. Tornado on the ground, K32 and 158th, west, 4 miles west of Bonner Springs. That was 30 seconds ago. Spotter at K7 and Shawnee Mission Park, looking north, sees rotation. Large tornado on the ground. Again, this is being confirmed. This is through the media. It's also through emergency managers. So it's this is a scary situation. You wouldn't wish this on your worst enemy. I want you guys to also stop and think about what's at stake here. Because we've been dodging bullets here the last week or two. We've had a lot of tornadoes. We've had a ton of tornadoes, but we've been able to avoid the major metropolitan areas. We hit one last night, somewhat, not as big as this. The town of Salina, obviously very hard hit, widespread F2, F3 damage. This is likely stronger than that, it's likely larger than that, and it's likely going to impact larger metropolitan areas. That's why we're very concerned. That one occurred late at night, that was occurring 11 o'clock last night, midnight last night, and then beyond, where the atmosphere was losing some steam, it was losing some heating. It's going on 7 o'clock local time. There's a lot of heating still out there. There's no reason for this storm to weaken in the near term. That's why I continue to be very concerned about this. You can see it turning right now into Bonner Springs. It's making that right move. Bonner Springs, I hate to say this, but there's a good chance that a good chunk of this town is going to be destroyed. We've still got the TDS that is in place. Hopefully you took your precautions. Hopefully you got underground, or you got away from that town. You went south or southeast. Edwardsville, you're next. Maywood, I'm hoping to stay south of Piper. Holiday, you could be in line for this. Looking further out, it's Muncie. It's Marywood. Again, you're getting into the metropolitan Kansas City area. Beverly Hills. Talking about damage reports coming in from the National Weather Service. We can get into specifics here once the threat is over with. No chance of doing that right now. All we're trying to do is just make sure that we have all the latest information available to you. If you guys have not taken the time to share the video, please do so. Help us get the word out that we're on here. Again, the purpose of this channel is to cover high-end events that pose significant threat to property and life, and this certainly qualifies as that. I should have at least one moderator on here, Jack Allen. Look for him, and if you're interested in becoming a moderator, let me know. If I know you, there's a good chance I will allow that to happen, because I know there's a lot of interaction on this page, so we appreciate that. You guys keep the shares coming. We'll continue to monitor the situation. I'm looking for, also at the same time, I am seeing more live images that are not great. Live images coming in again from this storm. What appears to be a very large rain-wrapped storm. This is the way it looks right now, coming in from KMBC out of Kansas City. And you can see in the middle of your screen there, this was provided by, let me get the name, that is by Bold Tornado, headed for Kansas City Metro. That is a very large and no doubt violent tornado that's moving into the Kansas City metropolitan area. No doubt. Here's another one, and this is from Derek Snyder on the KMBC feed. This looks like KMBC ABC 9. That is a nasty, nasty, violent, that is a no doubt destructive wedge tornado. This is the type of tornado that struck Moore, Oklahoma in 2013. It's the type of tornado that struck Moore, Oklahoma in 1999. And we know what it did. Kansas City is a large metropolitan area. How many people live in Kansas City? We know Bonner Springs is 8,000 people. Kansas City population is 500,000. There's 500,000 people in the consolidated metropolitan area of Kansas City, Kansas, and Missouri. That kind of tells you what our thought process needs to be like with this storm. There can be no chances taken. We make sure that we all go way out of our way to make sure that people are informed of the destructive power of this storm. Here's a look at the latest. Again, that tornado emergency does continue into western sections of Kansas City, all the way to near the downtown area. Going back over to our analyst radar in just a moment, we can give you more specifics. I just kind of want to hone in. Bonner Springs, the storm is, unfortunately, it's on top of that town of 7,600 people. A lot of people. I just pray that they took their shelter and they took it early enough to get away from the storm. Storm is moving, and it's moving at a pretty good clip. About 40 miles per hour, moving northeast. No, that's the other storm. Let me get caught up. The storm is moving, and let me bring you this information up over on our analyst radar. Latest warning information: storm making its way into Kansas City, Missouri right now. Tornado emergency for northern Johnson, Wyandotte, southern Leavenworth counties. Tornado warning remains in effect until 7:15 Central Time. A confirmed large and destructive tornado was located near Bonner Springs, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. You don't really have a lot of time. Bonner Springs, you have no time. That storm is, there's no doubt it's doing damage, if not a lot of destruction. I've got winds that are moving now away from the radar site at 94 miles per hour. On the other end of this, I've got winds that are moving towards the radar site at 75. That is 170 mile per hour effective shear. Taking a look at your correlation coefficient, looking for that debris ball signature. It's still there. It's still there. Looking at your NROT, again, this is normalized rotation, very strong indication that the tornado's on the ground doing damage, moving into Bonner Springs right now. Got the new image in front of you currently. I'm going to take this over to a one panel, and I want to do something that helps me as far as like assessing the size and the damage potential of this storm. We're taking a look at the storm in 3 dimensions, and let me get us caught back up over on the other radar. This is it. I'm gonna pull that back up for you guys again so you guys can see that. So that's what it looks like. This is the storm, 3-dimensionally speaking. Looking at the storm, it's got a tremendous amount of structure with it. You're seeing echo tops at over 50,000 feet. You've got that tilted updraft that you would look for a storm that's capable of producing a large and damaging tornado. Here's a look at the rotation potential in there. We've got spotters out in Wyandotte County, by the way. Oh wow, look at that! And you can see that tube of vorticity. That is the updraft that's producing the tornado, and that's a no doubter. That is no doubt. This is normalized rotation. Looking at the structure of the thunderstorm, the amount of spin that you're seeing in there, no doubt this is on the ground. It's large. It's doing terrible damage. There's another look at that storm again, kind of taking a look at a 3-dimensional cross section of it. The storm chewing its way into Kansas City right now. All right, tornado passing very near Bonner Springs. That was just a couple minutes ago. It's on top of them right now. Coming in from the National Weather Service in Kansas City. This is a life-threatening situation. Media use the strongest language possible to get people into shelters. And that's what I've been doing. Strongest language possible. That's coming in from the National Weather Service out of Kansas City. They cannot urge you enough to get away from this thing, to get underground or get away. Storm is clawing its way into western portions of Kansas City right now. There's a look at the circulation as we've been showing you. We'll continue to go back and I'll pull up some more images. Again, whatever it takes for people to get the word. Look, we're not taking any chances with this thing. We've got to get away from it. We've got to get underground. Okay, Jack, thanks again for helping to continue to moderate. I know there are other storms, but this is the only storm that I'm focused on right now. Again, massive, possibly, and we know it's a wedge. We've been looking at these pictures coming in. This storm, I would estimate at least a mile across, and that's as bad as it gets. You never want to see a storm of that size, of that magnitude. Here's a look at it. I'm going to go over to our friends at KMBC 9. Taking a look at the storm for just moments ago. This is from Eric Bolt on KMBC 9. This is shared over on Twitter. And look at the size of that thing. It's absolutely massive. It's absolutely massive. It's a bad situation. I've got my wife Lisa that's been taking care of the kids this evening. I'm thinking of our friends back home in Kansas, back in Missouri, you know, an area that we know so well. Lisa and I lived out there for almost 3.5 years tracking this type of weather. Fortunately, we had no disasters like this when we were out there, and we had some pretty nasty storms, including the Joplin tornado, which we got to witness. That was not our viewing area, it was the one next door. but this is about as serious as it gets when it comes to the possibility of loss of life. You guys think about Joplin, for instance, and in no way am I saying that this is going to turn out to be Joplin, but use your imagination for a minute. Worst case scenario, Joplin. That's a town of what, 100,000 people? What is it? Joplin, Missouri. And for those that don't remember, on May 22nd, 2011, Joplin was absolutely devastated by an F5. It's got 52,000 people. 52,000 people, 158 people died. 158 people died. That was in 2011 in a town of 52,000. This is a town of 500,000. Okay? So if this storm does not weaken significantly, we could be looking at massive loss of life across the Kansas City metropolitan area. That's what you guys need to do. Whatever you need to do to get the word out, let them know, again, the severity of this storm. That's the last thing we want to see.
Can I see my laptop for just 2 seconds?
I don't need it. I'm done with it.
And then I can be able to help in a little bit. I don't know how long this is going to go on.
This is going to go on for a while. I don't see this storm weakening significantly anytime soon.
Okay.
So Bonner Springs, you took a hit. Now, a little bit of good news in the near term is that the rotation's loosening a little bit. I don't think this is going to continue. This may be a part of a cycling process. Rotation not quite as tight as it was. Bonner Springs, let's take a look at your in-rods. This is your normalized rotation. And you can see how it came back a little bit. It was stronger, came back a little bit. There, it was strongest just to the west of Bonner Springs. Kind of weakened just so slightly. I don't want you to get your hopes up. Now look, they've included the confirmed tornado warnings for all of Kansas City now. I say Kansas City, I'm talking about downtown, both sides of the river. That's the Kansas River. Make that the Missouri. Is it the Missouri? It is the Missouri. So you got the Missouri River that kind of bisects that town into two. Now you've got both sides that are on a confirmed tornado warning. Again, the heightened wording for the Kansas side, that's a tornado emergency. Take you back over to our other radar source, and it's just this is a scary situation. It's not what you want to see. Weather Service is urging us media to use highest possible language. So I will continue to just point out the fact that you don't see these conditions come together very often. There you have a major metropolitan area, and you have a violent tornado that may be, it may be a mile wide. We've got 471 people on here, so obviously you guys have done a great job of helping to share this video to get the word out that we're here tonight. Thank you for doing that. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so and hit the notification page. We're just launched this program here, this channel. It's dedicated to high-end severe weather events that pose significant threat to lives and property. That's our main purpose. That's why we're here. We appreciate you guys stopping by. It's a bad situation for Kansas City. Let's review some safety tips. Look, if you're looking for ways to shelter yourself, of course, the absolute worst thing you could do is stay in a mobile home. Yeah, that's like that's death on a stick when it comes to any type of tornadoes, whether it's low end or high end. You don't want to be in your vehicle during a storm like this. Now, you may use your vehicle to get out of its path, but only if you have time and you're sure you have time. Bad option. It's a manufactured home. It's a slab home. Typically aren't great. Rooms that are large open rooms like gymnasiums. Bad place to be. You want to be in the middle of a well-built structure. You want to be on the lowest floor. Obviously, a basement is preferred. So go to the basement, specifically under the stairs in a basement. We've had many documented times in the past when people have taken refuge in a basement, but it wasn't good enough because we would have debris that would fall into the basement. So that stairwell actually offers additional protection. That's the absolute best place you can be. Or, of course, if you have a federally approved storm shelter, tornado storm shelter capable of sustaining winds of over 200 miles per hour. That's the goal. That's what you're looking for. In a storm like this, again, you're looking to do all of the above. You got to treat this thing like it's the highest level storm. So there's a look at it. It's just barreling right on into the Kansas City metropolitan area. And it's just a scary sight to see. Now, I will say that over here on our analyst radar, seeing a little bit of good news in the near term, that it's weakening. It is weakening, at least currently. That's good. The rotation not as evident as it was. It's not showing that debris ball signature that it was. Echo tops are still very high. It's a strong storm. Normalized rotation has come down. This could be very good news for the Kansas City metropolitan area. I hope so. Best thing possible, this thing could lift right before it gets into the most densely populated portion of the city. That would make a lot of people. That would make a lot of people happy. That could save a lot of lives too. But this is a storm that's as large as it is. It's just one that we have to continue to monitor. So let's get to the latest locations on this. That storm making its way right on into the western sections of Metro Kansas City. That is the 435 interstate, I think, that goes all the way around the city. So yeah, 435, it's within that 435 loop. So I'm trying to get some additional towns that are now being impacted by this large, dangerous tornado. And latest information coming in from the National Weather Service. So this is, again, circulation does not look good at this point. It appears to be recycling. Could drop another tornado potentially inside the 435 loop in Wyandotte County. So that's what they're thinking, is that it's temporarily lifted. That's what they're thinking, but they're also extremely cautious about this because they think there's a good chance that it may come right back down, and it may come right back down as another violent tornado. We got 450 people on here right now. Jack Allen, our moderator. Jack, anybody else looking to help moderate this program tonight? Okay, so temporarily we are looking at some good news. It looks like the circulation's been disrupted. It's lifted somewhat. We don't know for sure if it's on the ground, but what we think is happening is that the storm is cycling. That's coming in from the National Weather Service. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Tornado warning continues for Wyandotte County, northeastern Kansas, north central Johnson County, and east central Kansas, southwestern Clay County, western and central Missouri, southeastern Platte County, and west central Missouri, northwestern Jackson County, and west central Missouri. That's all for the same tornado warning. It's a massive, massive warning. They're not taking any chances with this storm. They're saying, look, you treat this and you treat this very, very carefully. You get to the right place, you get underground, you do what you have to do. So we've been watching this storm, and again, it's been incredibly intense. Let me take this real quick. Hey, bud, I'm live on. I'm covering a tornado moving into Kansas City, Missouri right now. So, yeah, check out, I sent you the YouTube channel, right? It's just, I'll send you a text. It's up live right now. It's just a YouTube /user/JKappell1. And then I'll get back to you. Yeah, sure. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye. All right. Good friend of mine. I've been meaning to talk to him for days. I want to make sure that we had that conversation, even if it was brief. Looking at that circulation coming on in there into the Kansas City metropolitan area live as we speak. I've got Chris Yates on here. Weather by, lake sirens are going. Okay. Jack on here reminding people that you're under a tornado watch till 10 p.m. And watching that circulation again as it's come back just a little bit. But the fear is that it's going to begin to re-energize. So you can see where it was when it was near Eudora. That was an extremely tight circulation. I'm going to make this one panel. We'll go over just WSRV, where again we're able to identify where that circulation is located. Now look at it. Dramatically weaker. Wonderful. This is great news. This is terrific news. It may have been too late for Bonner Springs. It's hard to tell, but it's definitely that weakening trend. But right here, we're starting to see, again, those velocity signatures coming back up. That's near Paveroy, Beverly Hills. It's a large mesocyclone. Big storm that demands respect. Absolutely demands respect. So large supercell thunderstorm making its way into Kansas City with the potential of producing a tornado. It has produced what appears to be a large, violent tornado at times. I'm going to go over and see if we've got any new images that we can share with you. This is the way it looked from KNBC a short time ago. I can pull that image up now. And this is coming in from Neo Weather, sharing a picture from KNBC. It's the ABC affiliate. And that's when it was rain wrapped, and you can see just how large that storm structure was. Enormous. Absolutely enormous. There are more tornadoes in West Kansas that we're not going to get to at this point. We're focused solely on Kansas City. Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. I'm getting some images now from the Missouri side of the river. This is, okay, the wind picking up ahead of it. Looking at that tornadic rotation, this is an image that I'll share with you. This is coming in from fellow broadcast meteorologist Brad Panovich. Brad out there in the Raleigh market. This image basically showing where you've got rotation on the ground being detected by radar, and it's showing the path of that rotation as it entered Bonner Spring as a very strong tornado. Only time will tell what it does from here. Hopefully it continues to go through this weakening phase, but I wouldn't count on it. This is a dangerous storm. As I mentioned, when I started this program tonight, what made the storm so dangerous to me, as we got on well before the warnings were issued for Kansas City, was that this storm has got no rivals. There's nothing else around it. You've got storms to the north. They're not going to stop the feed, that inflow that comes in from the south. These storms, they feed off that warm air. You're getting that warm, moist air on the south and southwest side of the storm. There's nothing else out there to take the energy away. So as such, it's all alone. And when that's the case, oftentimes these storms, they can just continue to feed and feed and feed. And so that's what we're seeing out there right now. I'll at least mention the other storms that are out there. North of Concordia, there's appears to be a pretty nasty looking storm that's developing. That's north of Clay Center as well. They've issued some tornado warnings for that. Otherwise, looking at just a couple isolated tornado cells, one south of Oklahoma City. One looks like it's dissipating to the north of Oklahoma City. But this is the storm that I think by far and large is the most dangerous, especially considering that it's impacting a very large metropolitan area. And so that's why we're on here, watching again as a large population center being impacted by this potentially very dangerous, if not catastrophic storm. It does look like rotation is coming in back up a bit. So let me take you back over to analyst radar, and where they're putting new warnings out as we speak on the storm. To the north of it, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. Let's get that information. North Kansas City, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. Northeastern Wyandotte, southwestern Clay, southeastern Platte County. It goes until 7:45 for a storm capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds and ping-pong ball-sized hail. To the south, that's where the tornado warning does continue. That remains in effect. For north central Johnson County, nope, that one's canceled, but it does remain in effect for central Wyandotte, southwestern Clay, southeastern Platte, and also northwestern Jackson counties, a confirmed large, extremely dangerous tornado was located over Kansas City, moving east at about 35 miles per hour. So that's the official termination. That's the official language by the National Weather Service. But as I mentioned to you, I think that the circulation is a lot weaker, although it's trying to uptick. So we're wondering if the storm isn't cycling a bit. I also wonder if the storm is not being impacted by some of the topography out there. For those that are unfamiliar with Kansas City, you got some pretty good hills, and those hills can impact the inflow into the storm. Hopefully it impacts it in a very negative way, as in it disrupts the inflow of the actual tornado. Now I'm kind of rocking back through the last few frames. I kind of want to get an idea of what the storm is doing. And I would say there's a really good chance it's going to regenerate some. This time it's going to pass to the north of downtown Kansas City. So areas that may be impacted, if the storm regenerates and tornado drops back down, it's going to be very close to Parkville. Parkville, what's that other town there? That's Houston Lake. Maybe Lake Wacomas. Maybe passing just south of Weatherby Lake. Riverside. Gladstone, if you're looking further out. Pleasant Valley, I should say. Storm does look like it's trying to regain composure. It was on the ground for quite a while. It looks like it has weakened. It had lifted for a while, but now it may be on the way of regenerating. So this is something we'll watch very, very carefully. In the meantime, I've got 514 people on this live feed. I want to thank you very much for being on here. And if you've helped to share the video, that's also very helpful. Still trying to get the word out, make sure everybody's aware of the threat, of the danger. Kansas City, Missouri being impacted by a potentially life-threatening tornado. At times it's been large, it's been violent, but just here in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, it's weakened. We don't want to let our guard down. We know what these type of storms can do, and this one may very well be in the middle of a cycle where it cycled down, tornado lifted, and then watch those rotation values begin to increase again, and then suddenly it can come right back down. This storm, as I've been telling you about, it's all alone. There are no other storms out there that can steal its energy, and there's still a lot of energy available in the atmosphere. I was showing you a little while earlier some of these values coming in from the Storm Prediction Center. I'm going to put on CAPE, surface-based CAPE. It's basically the amount of energy that this storm has to work with. And we're looking at surface-based CAPE of anywhere between 22 and 2,600 units, which is more than enough to sustain this storm. So there's quite a bit of CAPE. We also know that there's quite a bit of wind shear. This is low-level helicity, lowest 3 kilometers at about 300 meters per second. That's a lot of energy. So the storm has got a lot of things that are still going for it. We don't want it to have things going for it. We want it to wind down, and we want it to weaken. It has gradually weakened. It has weakened at least temporarily, but we're not so sure that that's going to continue. I'm going to go back over to the other radar, and again, looking at the radar signature for reflectivity on the left, velocity on the right. Still seeing, the winds were down dramatically from earlier. That's great. We just want them to stay down. If we can get this to the other side of Kansas City, we will have dodged a big bullet. So if we can get them out there past Liberty, per se, then the possibility of a disaster will really go down. But unfortunately, we've got a lot of time before that occurs. You can see how much room we've got. Let me see, do I have my measuring tool available on here? I mean, there's 10-15 miles at least of densely populated metropolitan area that this thing has to get through and not drop a tornado. And I think that's a lot to ask for with a storm like this. Let's go back over, take a look at some of the images that we're seeing through social media, and looking out for both images on Kansas side, and this is the way the storm looked a little while earlier. This is a storm out of Wichita, actually. Separate storm. We'll take a look at it anyway. There's a number of other tornadoes that are occurring, and this is courtesy Nicole Loeffler. Here's some damage. Now this is from the same storm that's in Kansas City right now. This is from WIBW's Sean Wheat, sharing this on Twitter. Obviously quite a bit of residential damage. Look at the top part of that structure completely removed. Again, some heavy tornado damage there. That is just south of Lawrence from a little while earlier. Looks like that garage got blown out by the tornado. This is one that's further west, I believe, Tipton, Kansas. Tornado warning does continue. This is coming out of Kansas City, Missouri, for Wyandotte, Clay, Platte counties. That's Wyandotte, Kansas, Clay and Platte counties in Missouri, for a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Kansas City, Kansas, moving east at 30 miles per hour. Okay, so temporarily looking at some good news with that storm. We're going to go back over to radar, see what it looks like now. At just a half hour ago, this was a monster tornado. It had a huge signature. We had pictures of what appeared to be a mile wide or so wedge tornado doing all types of damage. And suddenly it's weakened just in time as it's entered the metropolitan Kansas City area. We'd love for that to continue. And there's a look at the storm as it's rolling through. I'm going to go back over to our other radar source now. There you have it, just north of Kansas City. And yeah, circulation's a lot weaker. It is. This would be a small miracle. Maybe not even a small one. This could be a huge miracle. If we can keep these levels down, that would be outstanding. That would, potentially dozens of lives, if not more, could be saved if this can just stay in its current state. The storm overall, I'm going to take a look at the health of the storm. I want to see what it's looking like, maybe from a three-dimensional perspective. So we're going to take what we call a volumetric scan of the storm, where basically we have the ability to look at it 3 dimensions. Let me pull that up. Okay, this is looking at the storm. North side of the storm, we're going to swing down. This is a 2-dimensional cross section that you're looking at right here, showing that the ectotops have come down some. They were up over 50,000 feet for a while, so that doesn't look quite as menacing. Let me do another scan, kind of right through the heart of the storm. That's the way it looks like. I'll walk you through that. And storm is definitely not what it was, which is wonderful. Glad to hear, glad to see. This is going to take you right into Kansas City now. There you go. South side of the storm does not look nearly as impressive as it did. So this much is good news. Let's take if I can get my 3-dimensional scan to work. There it is. I'll do that one more time. Take a tighter shot of it. And yeah, the storm just suddenly, it's kind of sputtering. That's good. We'll take that. We'll take that every time. Looking back at velocities again, it's really wound down. Kind of surprising considering the environment is still very good. But we'll take this. This is great news. I would have to assume that some of the terrain is affecting its inflow right now. So we'll continue to monitor. Let's see who we've got on the YouTube channel. Any comments and any questions that we need to entertain right now. We've got 582 people, so a very good crowd again tonight. We were on last night tracking the tornado through the north side of Dayton. Tornado emergency declared there. We know that turned out to be a really bad deal for a lot of people. This one, it's unclear. We do know that the western suburbs, maybe Bonneville, we do know south of um, portions of Douglas County, so that would be areas along that Interstate 70 corridor that were so hard hit. But I'd be very concerned with areas just west of Bonner Spring. Linwood would be the one, and Lawrence, of course, just south of Lawrence is where we saw that the storm was extremely strong. Okay, got a lot of speculation why the tornado may have lost some steam. Who cares? I mean, we're just glad that it did. You know, somebody's postulating tornadoes don't cross rivers. And there's evidence that some rivers, if they're large enough, have had that effect on them before. I think of the April 3rd, 1974 outbreak, the tornado that hit Brandenburg, Kentucky. This one was a half-mile wide, but it was a high-end EF5. It hit the Ohio River. Witnesses that were there said that they could see the bottom of the Ohio. It's a big river. And they said that it sucked up all that water, went to the other side of the river into southern Indiana, immediately collapsed. This one appears to have collapsed a little bit before then. But either way, that's great. It's absolutely fantastic news. Okay. And well, thanks again for the comments on here, and thanks for joining our show. This is a new channel, by the way. If you haven't had a chance to sample us yet, we've only been on for about a week and a half. And since then, you guys have been extremely generous through us sharing the videos, also subscribing, hitting the notification button. And if you guys haven't done that tonight, please do so. The purpose of this show is to come on here and provide a source, a credible source for covering high-end severe weather events such as this one. Currently, it's looking much better. Let's hope that will continue to be the case. At least that's the goal. But yeah, hit the subscription and the notification button if you haven't already done that. It's appreciated very much. I'm going to take you guys back over to Analyst Radar. We'll look for new images that may be coming in through our social media sources while we're at this. Alright, so there's Analyst Radar. I want to kind of take a wider shot. You can kind of see what this thing was doing as it was approaching from the south and west out of Lawrence. South of Lawrence, Douglas County. That storm was causing all types of problems. As it was exiting Osage County, it really began to get developed. And here it goes. Watch it. And now suddenly, again, looking much better. Tornado emergency was declared earlier. Northern Douglas County, southern Wyandotte County, Leavenworth County, I believe, and then into Kansas City Metro. The tornado emergency was then lifted. However, a tornado warning does continue at this hour. And let's take another look. It's into the inner part of the city now, just north of downtown, showing hints of rotation. I bet you've got an interesting view in Kansas City right now. Kansas City, Missouri. I wonder if I can find a good webcam. Let me pull that up. Kansas City webcam. Alright, so let's see some live cameras now. Okay, so this is a picture looking towards downtown Kansas City currently. Oh, this is a time lapse. Let's see if we can find a better picture. It looks like a pretty massive wall cloud just north of the city right now. Okay, so here's an image. All right, take a look at this. Go. And notice notice the linear structure of it. That's from earlier, way earlier. I didn't mean to show you the whole time lapse. Okay. Well, new information coming in from the National Weather Service out there in Kansas City. I'll bring up some more images for you in just a moment. Do want to make sure that we keep our eye on the prize here, see what this storm is doing. Because, you know, as strong as it was, it'd be very surprising if it doesn't try to make a comeback at some point. They did go ahead and drop the tornado warning. That's great. Still just showing some minor circulation up there, approaching Gladstone near Riverside. Taking a look at other severe parameters with this, and even the hail's gone down a lot. This storm at one point was capable of producing a golf ball, if not 2-inch sized hailstones. So that's also very good. Very, very positive. Okay, massive cloud also on the north side of Wichita, so we can start to look at the other parts of the plains at this point, since Kansas City is no longer in imminent danger. Bullet dodged, perhaps. Knock on wood, say a prayer, cross your fingers. Looking broad and wide across the rest of the plain states, we've got the one storm. You do have a severe thunderstorm that's located north of Wichita. But you also got that storm that's been very persistent out there. Northwestern sections of, make that near Washington. We can go in there and we can diagnose what we're seeing with that here in just a moment. Looking at images again coming in through the social medias. Nothing new. Again, it looks like a disaster may have been averted. Massive, what appears to be a massive, violent tornado on the ground. It was a wedge, there was no doubt. But it just completely fell apart as it entered Kansas City metropolitan area. So that's best news possible. Be hesitant to leave this storm before it exits, but we do want to go ahead and sample maybe the other storms that are up there in northeastern Kansas. Again, this is my old stomping ground. I used to work out in KSNT 9, that's the NBC affiliate out in Topeka, Kansas. I worked out there for about three and a half years as the chief meteorologist. It was quite a privilege to be able to serve that community, to be able to learn the lay of the land, and talking about experiencing some wild weather while I was out there. All right, so here's the storm of interest, quite a bit of rotation, at least up in the air, associated with this storm. That's a tornado warning for northwestern Washington County and north central Kansas. Goes till 8 p.m. Central Time. Okay, we'll watch that. Let's head on down here to Wichita. This is what it looks like in Wichita. Again, a discrete cell. Discrete as in it's by itself. Not that it's a secretive supercell. And that's just a severe thunderstorm warning for Florence right now. So looking wide, and we don't want to forget about our friends out here into parts of the mid-Atlantic. We were tracking some weather earlier. I'll go back on U.S. radar, latest information, and it looks like still a couple of tornado warnings northern side of the storm. It was just severe, I believe, when it went through Philadelphia. And then it looks like that is a tornado warning, is that right, for Morristown? Might be worth investigating. And she's back, everybody. Everybody say hello to AKA Lisa Ray. Hi, hon.
Hey, what's the situation?
Well, I'm happy to say that we've got some great, terrific improvements for Kansas City.
Okay,
where we had this extremely dangerous storm that was working its way right on into the metropolitan area. At one point, we were showing 170 to 180 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. She's learning what that means, by the way. We were also showing some pictures of a massive wedge tornado, and this thing was just clawing its way right on into Kansas City. There was a tornado emergency that was declared, and as the storm began to enter Kansas City, you're watching it. It just kind of was weakened and weakened and weakened, and right now we don't think it's producing a tornado at all. We're going to go back over to analyst radar just to make sure. It is still a severe thunderstorm warning, and we're kind of looking far and wide. Let's go back over to Kansas City. I'll have that up for you in just a moment. Okay, that's loading right now.
Okay.
Still in communication with the National Weather Service out there in Kansas City, and you know what? I mean, we'll take the good news. Just keep the good times rolling here.
So the severity has gone down.
Yes.
That is good news.
It's excellent news. It's fantastic news. It's the best thing that we could have possibly asked for. Okay, so here's the look at the analyst radar now. We've got that information up, and I'm not seeing redevelopment. This is a miracle. I'm going to say this is by the grace of God that this storm weakened at the time that it did when it was entering this major metropolitan area.
It's almost like it just got weaker as it got closer to the big city.
Well, right up until it reached, you know that 435 corridor going up to the airport. We used to live off 70, so we'd have to go 70 from Topeka to 435 to get her to the airport to send her home. Right there at about 435 in Bonner Springs, it just went whew. And let me show you. Let's watch this thing. Let's go back. I don't know if it's going to let me go back any further. It needs to. You're just going to have to take my word for it. It was 170 to 180 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear at one point. Might still be loading.
Okay.
But we'll take it. Crisis averted. And Kansas City, Missouri, your life is looking a lot better right now. And as a result, it's awesome for our friends, eh?
Yeah, very good.
All right, for those that are unfamiliar with myself or maybe with AKA Lisa Ray, this is my wife. We form a kind of a weather talk show combination.
I do most of the weather.
Yeah, right. I'm training her. We're getting her up to speed.
Yeah, so I am learning a lot. Is Jack Allen moderating?
Jack is moderating tonight.
Very good.
And kind of looking at the wide view across the plains. I know we've got some weather in the east as well. I want to talk a little bit about that. But Lisa and I, we actually started our own weather program. It's called Weather Live at 9:45. Now, Weather Live at 9:45 is a Facebook-based program that serves the communities of Rochester, Western New York, and the Finger Lakes. So that one we do it about 5 days out of the week. Mainly Facebook, even though it does have a side channel for YouTube. Now, again, that's a local weather-based. Oftentimes it's as much talk or maybe more talk than weather. This time of the year when you don't have massive blizzards or freak windstorms or something to talk about, you get to just kind of hang out.
We get to finally brag about our weather up here.
This time
finally, although today we didn't.
Today was crummy.
Although we didn't have this, so.
We launched this new program. It's called Weather Live Now, WX Live Now, which is the one that you're watching. This one is built to focus on those high-level severe weather events that occur across the country. And the aim is to increase awareness, preparedness, and hopefully to save lives. Hopefully we helped tonight. I know we did last night. At one point last night when we were covering that tornado emergency for Dayton, we had 1,200 people in this room. 1,200 people were on this channel helping to get the word out. And you know, I know we had some casualties out of that deal, but it could have been so much worse. And part of that is helping to spread the word through sharing, through word of mouth. You know people that are there, calling them on the phone, because it was in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
That storm was 11 o'clock or midnight last night. Okay, so...
It's like my worst nightmare.
Okay. So Matt on here, this is, I'm getting Matt Ludvigsen. He wants to give us a pizza. Matt, where are you at? We want to give you a shout out. If you want to send us a pizza, tell us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Send me a message. We'll get you an address. Pepperoni, supreme sausage, you name it.
Hey.
I'll take any of it.
We like it all.
Although, Matt, I got to ask, so are you a local up here to Webster? Where are you at? What pizza operation are you running? It's very sweet. It's funny with our show Weather Live at 9:45. A couple of weeks after we launched it, there was a massive winter storm up here in Rochester. And we were just doing the updates, not quite as fancy as what we've got now, but we were doing what we could do. And was it Pontivino? That's in us, not Pontivino. What's the name of it? Pontillo.
I think
Pontillo.
it's it.
Pontillo.
Which I drove past there the other day.
Yeah.
I have no idea where I was, but
Yep.
I did see it. It's this little pizzeria, totally cute. I'm like, oh, it's the pizzeria that gave us what they say, we gave free weather, so they gave us a free pizza.
Right. We provided the weather. The least they could do is provide some pizza.
That was sweet. That was really sweet.
So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, thanks, Matt. Message me, and I'll be sure to take you up on that. Maybe give you a plug for wherever your pizza operation is. All right, so Kansas City, things are looking much better. Let's go over to our analyst radar. We've been monitoring the situation there. There was earlier this evening. That was, oh, there it is. I loaded the data. Watch this, hon.
Is this the back? Oh,
yeah.
This is like how
long ago? This is when it was awful. An hour ago, it was a terrible storm. It was an awful, awful storm. Not even an hour ago. And, you've been learning about this stuff.
Yeah.
Look at that signature there near Linwood. So right here, I'm going to go, just awful signature.
So when do we have confirmation on tornadoes?
Well, it's confirmed. Many, many witnesses saw it on the ground. We've got pictures of destruction. But right about here, I'm trying to see where it peaked out. May have peaked right around here, approaching Bonner Springs. So again, you're just talking about just outside so you got, at one point I measured 170 to almost 180 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear.
Wow.
And so then watch what happened when it got into the Kansas City area. It just went bloop, 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 bloop.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I mean, seriously. It could have been an absolute disaster otherwise. Now it is trying to recirculate north and east of the city, but it's getting out of the metro area. This is northeast of the city.
So wait, that's like miracle.
Right.
Right.
And there you have it.
What's the explanation?
What did I just tell you? Northeast of the city, they just issued a new tornado warning.
Did they really?
How about that? I'm not saying that if you're in this warning, do what you need to do. It's just that there was a lot of people that could have been affected by what was at one point a very large tornado. New tornado warning issued, but again, we're not in as populated an area. But that doesn't matter if you live in Kearney.
Yeah.
Or if you live in Mosby. Take your tornado precautions right now. Kearney, Mosby, you've got a developing circulation approaching you. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So there's that. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying. Tornado radar indicated for Clay County. The storm is moving east at about 35 miles per hour. So there's that. Looking further west into Kansas, we've still got the one warning. That's a tornado warning. For Washington County. That's a new warning actually for Washington, I believe. And then for northwestern Washington as well. So you've got two warnings in Washington County for the possibility of a tornado-producing storm. These storms, though, at some point will begin to lose some of their ability once you begin to lose some of that heating. That's why I was so concerned about Kansas City, because it looked like they still had pretty good heating. Not peak, maybe just beyond it.
So I know a lot of people have wanted to know what is going on with all this crazy weather.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
You've been a little busy lately.
A little too busy, for sure. Let's go on over to, I'll just show you a few things here, some of the things that are kind of come together when you're talking about potential tornado events. The biggest one this time of the year is what the upper dynamics is doing, and talking about those upper level winds. Because, assuming you have a quasi-normal spring where you get enough warmth, you get enough rain, so ground, soil, you got vegetation filled with moisture, so humidity returns, heating returns. But the thing that you don't always get this time of the year is these jet stream winds that are persistently diving out from the southwest to the northeast out of the Rocky Mountains. These winds are the ones that are setting up storm after storm, round after round of severe weather. I'm happy to say later this week those winds turn back around to the northwest for much of the eastern United States. That will suppress any more widespread outbreaks. So it does indeed look like we're going to get a break from at least the threat of widespread severe weather starting later this week. I had identified today, a few days ago, as a potentially bad day. But now going forward, we still have a risk tomorrow going into the Central Plains. But going forward, because of what these jet stream winds are doing, instead of pulling up out of the Rockies, they begin to turn back around out of Canada. So you get that pipe out of Canada, a northwestern flow, it really reduces the chances that you get those large-scale tornado outbreaks.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome, hon. She loves my meteorology lessons.
Oh, goodness.
All right, let's go back on over to that.
They are helpful.
Let's go back over to that storm in northeastern side of Kansas City. Again, crisis averted, it appears like, for Kansas City metropolitan area. And this is the way it looked going back through. Oh, that's, let me make sure I've got my focus correct here. So here are the thunderstorms rolling through Kansas City. Still some strong thunderstorms in the Kansas City area. You're not 100% out of the woods. We just know that the primary supercell has lifted to the north. Thunderstorms continue to fire and train to the south. And we've got the one tornado warning that remains in effect. So here's your analyst radar. You got that circulation tightening up. It's probably a developing tornado there. I hate to say it. But again, we'll take a tornado out over open areas anytime over the potential of a very large metropolitan center. We've got air that's rushing towards the radar site right now at 91 miles per hour. That's a nice little pop there. You couple that with about 10 or 20 miles the other way, you've got 100, 110 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. So possibility of some development right there. National Weather Service continues tornado warning. Clay County, Missouri, and that storm is traveling off to the east at 35 miles per hour. Spotter in Smithville is reporting building material, including roofing material, siding material, and insulation as large as a foot in diameter. So we're getting some debris. It's Smithville. Okay, so Gentry County EMS reporting no damage in the southern part of the county. Deputy reports creeks and streams are still in their banks. Okay, well, this is all good. This is all relatively normal. What's not good is, again, this developing circulation located near Kearney and Mosby. Possible developing tornado refiring just on the other side of Kansas City. Got about 400 people on YouTube right now. Thank you very much for being here. It looks like, at least for now, Kansas City has avoided disaster. What was a strong wedge tornado approaching the city, maybe a mile wide at times. It just completely fell apart right on time for it to enter Kansas City metropolitan area. And now we're watching it beginning to reform just north and east of the city. 400 people on here right now. We appreciate all the shares of the video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. You'll find myself on here, sometimes co-anchor with AKA Lisa Ray, my wife. So hit the subscription, hit the notification button. That way you know next time we're on here. We're on, again, only for high-level, high-end severe weather events where you have significant threat to property and lives. And so that's what we want to reserve this program for, is the most serious of weather across the United States. A little about me. For those that don't know, I'm a 20-year broadcast meteorologist. Look me up, Jeremy Kappell, Kappell, by the way, with a K. I've got experience from Kansas, from Texas, from the Ohio River Valley, from Mississippi, the Great Lakes. I'm certified by the American Meteorological Society. I'm a certified broadcast meteorologist as well. So, yeah, we appreciate you guys being here. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the notification bell. Please do that. All right, with that being said, that little chore out of the way, I do want to take the time to go back and reinvestigate that new circulation developing northeast of Kansas City with the new tornado warning. Maybe you're following on here specifically because you're from the Kansas City area. Maybe you're following because you're a weather enthusiast. Maybe you know somebody that lives up here. So this is northeast of the city. You can see Kansas City located right there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Developing circulation, which doesn't look as impressive as it did up here near the town of Kearney and Mosley. I also want to check back in with the Storm Prediction Center and see what they're doing as far as their convective outlook. Okay. Local media tracking the new circulation near Bender, the one that I was just showing you. Near Kearney. So they didn't really update their convective outlook. Still a moderate risk up there for northern sections of Missouri, parts of northeastern Kansas. So that's the final update of the evening. That tornado risk, though, I would say it's just not quite as great as it was. But as we saw last night, sometimes once you get the sun to go down, sometimes that tornado risk can go up. You get this feature in the atmosphere known as a low-level jet. Low-level jet can create low-level wind shear, which can increase the chances of tornadoes occurring. Not saying that's going to be the case tonight, but it's something to look out for here later on tonight. Who are you in communication with?
Our moderator.
Jack?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have pizza coming?
Well, I guess he really was serious about the pizza.
Okay.
He was supposed to direct message me on Twitter, but I don't see it.
Oh, well, that's all right.
That's okay. I don't know. I can't consider it cooking tonight, but I did prepare some food for us.
What did you cook in there? Did you do the little barbecue you said you were?
Barbecue, tater tots, and carrots and ranch.
You know, for a guy that's had...
I mean, you do what you...
For a guy that's had three eggs. Jack, you listen to this today, it's been phenomenal. I've had 3 eggs. We count calories sometimes. 3 eggs, I've had a banana.
Wow.
And 3 peanut butter sandwiches.
Emailed you about the pizza. Oh, he emailed me about the pizza?
Okay.
That's really nice, man.
Very sweet. Very, very sweet.
Well, he emailed you about the pizza?
Oh, me? Okay, well, here.
It says I emailed you about the pizza. Emailed you. He emailed you.
Okay. Oh, is it
Anyway,
through? Must be.
sorry.
Maybe it's through the website.
Anyway, that's very nice.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll forward that over to you. Maybe you can get that hooked up. So I'm looking at.
So this still look like an extended event for those east of Kansas City?
I'm saying that they're gonna have to stay on their toes east of Kansas City. I like that part of Missouri maybe for some more tornadic rotations here tonight.
Mm.
I don't know if it's enough for us to stay on. We do have our other show that we like to attend to, but we want to watch it a little bit longer. And then here you go. We're seeing that rotation. It's upticking again. Between Kearney and Mosby. Kearney and Mosby. All right. Thank you very much, Matt. I do see your email now. That is very, very sweet of you.
So sweet.
Let's see. I'm going to forward this to you. You know how to open yours up over there, right?
Yeah, you showed me the other day.
Which means you forgot.
Which means no, I don't remember. I did actually find it recently. We'll see.
That's awesome. All right, so still tracking weather and yeah, developing circulation located between, let's get it, Kearney and Moby. Kearney and Moby, there it is.
It's Mosby.
Mosby, thank you.
That's loud.
It is loud. Tornado warning being issued right now. This is for Clay and Ray County. That goes until 8:30. And we are seeing that next circulation developing.
And Jack says tornado warning for Staten Island, New York.
Oh, really?
Really?
It's kind of, that doesn't happen very often. Well, What's
There's,
it?
I guess, people asking about that too.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. We've been focused so much on the plains weather tonight. That's where we have the possibility of large, violent tornadoes. So this one is getting organized again, unfortunately. Northeastern Clay County, northwestern Ray County. That's a tornado warning until 8:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. Again, developing tornado on the ground. I shouldn't say that. Not on the ground. It's a developing tornado. I can check to see if it's on the ground. No, we don't have verification. Do know that your inroads are up. I'd say there's a good chance that this is, if it's not on the ground, it will be. So, I don't even know how to say that word. How would you say that? Excel Caesar? What? I don't. Excelsior?
You and me trying to make up names right now.
I know, it's terrible.
Excelsior?
How about Crystal Lake?
Excelsior.
It's moving towards Crystal Lake.
Yeah, there you go. We can say Crystal.
I've got that one. Tornado warning for you. We'll go in and we're going to check over with, again, Jack Allen. He's kind of watching the weather around the U.S. We've been hyper-focused on that part of Kansas and Missouri. So I do kind of want to take a look at what's happening. He said that there's one for Staten Island, which, again, that just does not happen.
Crystal says it's Excelsior.
Oh, that's difficult.
Excelsior.
Okay.
Thank you, Crystal.
Okay. I'll still have to practice that.
Excelsior. I love it when people help out like that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very helpful. Thank you.
All right, let's take a look at the radar. New York City, part of the city underneath a tornado warning. Now, that doesn't happen every day. So I'm going to take a look at that. Let that radar data load there for a moment. Let's get some eyeballs on where that is located at. And I'm not as familiar with New York as a lot of people around here are. But boy, that does look like it's like, is that Manhattan? No, it's just outside of Manhattan. So Staten Island is the other side of the Hudson, I believe. Tell me if I'm wrong. And I'm still waiting for it to switch over to that radar data. How come it's not? Jack, it's not playing very nice. Okay, we're going to come back to that. Staten Island, possible developing tornado. That's what I was looking at. You guys are still looking at what we should be looking at, which is, again, this. Developing tornado near Mosby. Got all types of indications that this is regenerating. It's firing back up.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm afraid it is. Let's take a look at the larger picture. Okay, so report coming in from National Weather Service. Large, rapidly rotating wall cloud was reported near Mosby. Trees obscuring possible funnel.
Jessica says Jersey Shore is under tornado warning until 10 p.m.
Okay.
Jack says toggle level 2 and level 3.
I turned it off, Jack. Now I'm going to open it back up.
Yeah, I'm trying to glitch the radar. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it's glitched.
Okay.
All right, we'll go back over to that radar source now. So, analysts showing the progression of the storm through the Kansas City area. It looked like we had a very serious issue on our hands earlier when it was approaching Kansas City. We had a tornado emergency. There was a large wedge tornado that was producing damage just to the west of Kansas City, then suddenly lifted. All right, now this is a tornado. I would be surprised if that's not on the ground. Let's find out. And yes, there it is, clear as day, debris on the ground. Can you see the TDS there, hon? TDS, that's that blue ball. You see it looks like an eye. Because what I can do is I can put a marker right in the middle of where that circulation is and look where it's at. It's right in the middle of that blue on the left. We talk about this from time to time. If you guys are interested, I can show you what that means. So that just basically means that there is a tornado that's occurring and occurring now. Another one of my friends, I want to tell him he's just going to have to like join us in progress with it. Tell him I'll call him back. It's pause. Send him a message. Is your
Oh. Let's see.
Okay, so this area that we've got that intense rotation, again, that's a TDS signature that we're looking at. It stands for tornado debris signature. It's basically where the radar is seeing debris lofted into the air, where there's no doubt that this is actually occurring. There's a tornado that's on the ground. It's throwing up debris, it's throwing up trees, any parts of homes perhaps that are being affected by this. And that signature.
Yellow.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
My son walked into the room. Landon, what do you tell people to do when there's a tornado warning? Where do you tell them to go?
The middle of their house or the basement.
Middle of the house or basement, he says. I think that's good, solid advice. Again, TDS being observed on the radar. So we do have what's likely a violent tornado that's occurring. Okay, tornado warning continues, observed. Threat considerable for Clay and Ray counties in Missouri until 8:30 p.m. Now they're saying
I think that's neo-tilted.
they're saying that this is they're calling it large and extremely dangerous. So they added the observed tag.
You need to update your video title.
Okay, yeah, because it's no longer in Kansas City.
Thank you. Good call, Jack.
It's Jack.
Yeah.
Need to give him administrative skills. All right. So this storm is. And I apologize to anybody that's looking for coverage of what's happening in New York City. I just can't exactly get away from this storm here in Missouri, considering what the likelihood that this is a very, very powerful storm. So that's the look at the location again on our analyst radar. I'm going to try to get some more numbers up here for you. Very, very strong. I've got 111 miles per hour one way, about 25 the other way. So that's about 130 mile per hour gate to gate, almost gate to gate. We'll call it effective shear. You remember how to say the name of that town? Excelsior Estates, Crystal Lake, Excelsior, something like that.
Excelsior?
Oh, I wasn't even close. I was not even close.
Excelsior.
Again, we place that marker and we get the verification that there's a debris signature, debris ball on the ground, right there in that blue circle that basically shows you where it's doing business. We're almost 100% positive. In fact, with that signature, it's pretty much a guarantee. Tornado on the ground doing damage. So where is the storm going? I'll take you back over to our other radar unit. And there it is. Put a track on it for you. Let me take you guys over to the other radar site.
I'm gonna go give the kids in bed.
Okay. All right, there's the radar image. I want to throw on some velocity. All right, there's that. There it is. That is very defined. So let's go ahead and track this. Okay, so this is around that most likely area that's actually producing the tornado. Oh, that didn't work out so well. Okay, so Excelsior Estates 917, Homestead 917, Crystal Lakes about 918. Again, that is what is likely a tornado that's on the ground, possibly violent. Possibly violent. See, it's putting this into motion here. It's really kind of gotten itself together over the last couple of sweeps. You know, the storm not quite as organized as it was before it hit Kansas City, but it's bad, and it's definitely going to be doing some damage. So any structures that are out there, homes, farms, neighborhoods, this is the type of storm like we saw last night north of Dayton that can cause widespread devastation. We're just happy that it's out of the Kansas City metro area because it was you know, obviously possibly impacting so many more people at that time. All right, so I'm trying to update my title. All right, so that should be updated now. Thanks for that suggestion, Jack. 460 people on here. Again, we appreciate you guys taking the time out of your Tuesday night to join us on Weather Live Now program that we only started about a week and a half ago, and we're so happy that it's been very well received. A lot of people sharing our videos. Thank you for that. Also, the purpose of this video is to give you clear-cut, concise weather reports focused on high-end severe weather events. We won't be on here if the threat is low. We only show up again when there's significant threat to lives and property. We have had, unfortunately, a lot of these episodes here in recent days, so that's part of the reason why we're back on here tonight. We avoided potential disaster as what appeared to be a violent tornado was approaching the Kansas City metropolitan area. It was heading right into Kansas City. A tornado emergency was declared earlier, but thank God the storm weakened just as it was hitting the city, as it was making its way in. We know there's damage, especially west of town, but it looks like for Kansas City, what could have been a really, really bad deal turned out to be okay. Now, the bad news is that this storm is re-flaring to the northeast on the other side of Kansas City, and we have what appears to be a tornado in progress. I've got the TDS, the tornado debris signature, that is showing up on our radar scope. That's right here. So we've got a tornado that is in progress. Let's take a look at the velocities, and you can see that we've got that hot spot. Where air is rushing away from the radar side at about 73 miles per hour, and the other side you've got air rushing towards the radar at about 40. So 70 plus 40, that's 110 miles per hour gate-to-gate shear. So that is a storm, again, likely doing damage. I mentioned to you what that TDS signature is. TDS is that blue ball you see right there in the center of that circulation. That only occurs when debris has been lofted or debris is in the air. And so that's exactly what we're seeing outside with this particular storm right now. Fortunately, it's moving over areas that's not quite as populated as Kansas City Metro. In fact, not nearly as populated. So in that case, we're doing good. But it is pretty amazing to watch this because this storm was, again, producing a large tornado when it was on the other side of Kansas City. Watch it. It weakened just in time for the city, and now it's growing stronger again. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. You tell me that we don't have a creator that cares. There you have it. There you have it. I need to screen grab this loop. This is amazing to me. I just want to make sure that I've got it for future reference. Okay, I'm gonna give me a second while I load this. I might show this tomorrow, later tonight. It's just wild to be able to see that. Again, this is looking at the velocity motion of this storm. where it was so well put together, so developed, just south and west of town. Major tornado on the ground, gets to the metro area, it dies, gets north and east of town, it refires right back up. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty special. All right, so tornado in progress though. Let's go back over to the latest information. Tornado in progress, and it looks like now we're looking at multiple funnels. That's what I'm seeing. More than one tornado, perhaps. Is it Exclesia? Oh, I forgot the name of it again. Exclesia Estates, maybe. Approaching Crystal Lake. But it looks like maybe a couple of funnels now. Let's see if I can't do a little bit of illustration for you. I'm pulling up our telestrator. It's not the handiest telestrator, Jack, but it works sometimes. It does glitch sometimes, Jack, if you're listening. Let's pull up the proper brush. And here you go. So circulation number 1, that's not it. This is the new one. This is the old one. Well, I don't know why I'm over there. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible telestrating, Jack. Right there. There's a new circulation, and the old one's right there behind it. Right there. All right, so you've got these two areas of rotation. Let me try that again using boxes. Is this easier? It's a little easier because you can place the box however you want it. Okay, I'll use boxes from now on. Circulation number 2. There's the first one though, right there. All right, so both these areas need to be watched. Okay. I'm going to turn my other radar. Maybe we'll try to see what's happening out there. And I haven't heard anybody talking about this, but what's going on in New York City? Is it still a warning? I want to take a peek at that, so I'll have that for you coming up in just a moment. New York City, part of the city, again underneath the tornado warning. That information coming in from Jack Allen. On this one, watching again the multiple circulations developing. Let's see what the National Weather Service has to say about this. Tornado warning observed. Damage threat considerable. That's for Clay and Ray counties in Missouri. That goes till 8:30. Okay. We'll continue to monitor that. Looking west, we have tornado warnings, but these are not observed into western portions of Kansas. We'll continue to monitor. Are seeing some circulations in there. Tornadoes, I think, pretty likely. Coming on into, let's go on over to New York City now. And got a little circulation nearing Elizabeth. Is this part of Staten Island? I don't know. It looks like it's going to be west of downtown. Doesn't look like a ton, but it's not nothing. So let's tell you what we'll do. Take a wider view, and I'm going to move our analyst over there as well. There you go. So maybe I can some locations on here. It's a tornado warning, a rare tornado warning for New York City. And I have analyst radar up there in just a moment. See if we can't get a quick track on this though for you. Again, it's very difficult to find that center of rotation though. pretty ill-defined. It's not really strong. But if it is, it's right here near Elizabeth. Let me redraw that. Kind of moving in that direction. Doesn't look like I'm populating too many towns. I'm sure there's plenty of towns and boroughs in there. Alright, so let's take a look at the other radar. And I'm not going to overplay this. I don't think it's a huge deal. But you're talking about the largest city in the United States, so I guess you want to treat it with kids' gloves. There you go. Not really seeing it. Let's move back a couple frames. Okay, get kind of a storm relative motion on it. New York City does not oftentimes see tornado warnings. Okay. Still not really seeing much motion there, at least not enough to convince me. Taking a look at NROT's normalized rotation. There's a little bit showing up. It's not much. It's just not much. Anyway, but I just wanted you guys to know that I was thinking about our friends down there in the Big Apple tonight. Got a little bit of rotation with that storm. Let's get the warning information up. Tornado warning remains in effect for Hudson. That's Eastern Union, Southeastern Essex, and Richmond counties. That goes until 9:30, about another 5 minutes. They'll probably let it go because they didn't extend it. They didn't extend it into Manhattan, which tells me that they probably will let that go. Okay, I said that we would visit, and there we had it. We visited. I don't think the threat's all that great for New York City. It's going to shift south, maybe a little greater, work your way south into Jersey. We'll watch that. In the meantime, I do want to see where we are here. We've got about 400 people on here. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for the subscriptions. If you haven't done that tonight, please do so. And be sure to hit the notification bell. That way, next time we're on, again, covering high-end severe weather events only, or at least areas that are events that are going to impact population centers. Those are the ones that we like to focus on because that's when you can make a real difference. So hit the subscription if you haven't already and the notification so you guys know next time we're on. I'm going to take one last look at our friends out there in Missouri. We are probably going to let this go back to regular programming here in just a little bit though, because I do want to be able to get our regularly scheduled program up. That's a Facebook-based program. There is a YouTube side channel if you're interested in watching, but it's mainly just me and Lisa dialoguing a little weather talk show that we call Weather Live at 9:45. It focuses on weather across western New York and the Rochester market, but we also just like to, have a good time. We may actually watch this remotely, and this storm, if it continues to create problems overnight tonight, I may readdress that later on tonight. Hopefully not. I've had a couple long nights this week. I don't want any more, but we will if we need to. So that storm still putting up, again, multiple circulations, it appears like. It's got a tornado observed tag on it. So we want to continue to watch that, again, kind of from afar. Anywhere across I'm going to try to draw the area that where we could see more troublesome weather tonight before we leave you. I'm bringing my my scene up. Should be allowed for us to pop on over there. Okay, so tonight they had the enhanced risk. They dropped the moderate. This is for tonight, so that's good. They did do their revision, dropping that moderate risk. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. And areas, again, we've got a couple areas that are focused right now, where we're focusing on that area. I like this area up here, just to the east of Kansas City. You've also got that opportunity across central western Kansas for a little while longer. These two areas will need to be monitored. I will continue to monitor them right now. Again, the main threat is that one storm that was north and east of Kansas City, but it looks like they're going to let that go. So they're going to go ahead and cancel that warning. And with that being said, I don't see a reason to stay on here and hold you hostage. But I do want to say thank you for being on here and for helping us get the word out. Again, this program, barely a week and a half old, and we've had just a tremendous response to it. So thank you for all your help. And we'll get back on here tonight if we need to. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on the other one or check us out, you can find me on Facebook. That's Jeremy Kappell. Kappell, by the way, spelled with a K. And I also have another YouTube side channel, but you can find through that as well if you type in my name live. I don't know, Weather Live at 9:45, WX Live 9:45. Instead of WX Live now, like this program, it's WX Live at 9:45. A couple comments before I take off here. And let's see, I've got David Gully on here. DoorDash coffee delivery needed, question mark, right? How about some coffee and some pizza? And again, a shout out to my friend Jack Allen for moderating. Thank you for being here. Again, everybody, we're going to go ahead and bring this to a close so we can get back to our other duties. If we need to get back on again live tonight, we will do so. But the plan of right now is to go through our regular scheduled program that airs here in about 15 minutes. All right, guys, thank you for being here. You guys stay aware, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.